Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, where I try and find the silver linings in even the worst of films. It was just recent that Tatiana Maslany, the actress that played She-Hulk in the Disney Plus television show, went out on her social media and told all of her followers to delete Disney Plus, which is shocking because she is a member of the MCU with a show that's on Disney Plus. And a lot of people think that she's also currently filming scenes for Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. So why would she do this? I mean, why would she poke the bear? Why would she bite the hand that feeds her? Well, it has a lot to do with the fact that Jimmy Kimmel was axed from his talk show on ABC, which is owned by Disney, after the FCC pretty much threatened them after he made a joke about the president and his reaction to Charlie Kirk's death. For those of you who don't know, Charlie Kirk is he's not a politician, but he's a debater. He's a professional debater. He would go to college campuses and debate people on their beliefs. He was a diehard Republican, battling with the likes of liberals and people on the far left, and trying to create a space where people could debate. Now, look, I am as ignorant as a baby when it comes to politics. I don't follow it. I don't agree with a lot of points from both sides. I just don't follow it. That my life is stressful enough as it is. The last thing I need is to add more stress looking at the politics of it all. And I know that saying that in and of itself is going to piss a lot of people off, because everybody wants somebody to be either left or right. You can't just be in the middle, because that just makes you part of the problem. Whatever. I've heard it all before. I just don't like to add extra stress to my life. I'm already stressed out. I don't follow sports because I don't want to be stressed about my team not winning. I don't follow politics because I've literally seen politics ruin relationships in my own family at Christmas dinners. And it's just something that I actively don't care to take part in. But when it kind of bleeds into the movie world, I feel the need to discuss it. Now, she's clearly upset at Disney for axing Jimmy Kimmel. And I get it. I understand, because listen, what is happening right now is the amendment of freedom of speech is kind of being pulled out from under us. Freedom of speech isn't something created so that you could go around and talk shit to whoever you want without repercussions. Freedom of speech does not mean there's no consequences that are going to come. You could talk shit. You might get punched in the mouth. That's just how it is. Freedom of speech was created so that governments couldn't censor people and threaten them if they said something that somebody didn't agree with. The FCC came out with a statement essentially saying, we hope that Disney, gives punishment to Jimmy Kimmel for what he's done. Otherwise, we're going to have to take serious action. And in a lot of ways, and John Campea said this, not me, but I'm going to quote it because it was so beautifully well said. In a lot of ways, that's like the mob going into a store and going, this is an awful nice store you got here. If you don't do what we ask, it'll be a shame if this place gets burnt down if you don't do the things that we ask. And that's kind of what's happening, where if you love the president, if you hate the president, if you love Jimmy Kimmel, if you hate Jimmy Kimmel, if you loved Charlie Kirk, if you hated Charlie Kirk, it was within Jimmy Kimmel's rights to go on the air and make a joke. Now, he didn't go out and make a joke about Charlie Kirk's death. He wasn't like, haha, I'm so glad that this guy got assassinated. He made a joke about the president's reaction to it, about how he feels that the president doesn't actually care. And sure, I could see why Donald Trump would get upset about that, but it's within Jimmy Kimmel's right to do that. That is part of what being an American in this country is, that we cannot be censored. No matter how much you dislike what somebody's saying, there should be no cause of action like this where somebody gets fired from their job for speaking their mind. He wasn't making fun of the death of Charlie Kirk. He made fun of the president, whom he doesn't like, and that is not against the law. It's not against the law to talk shit about him. And when the government goes after you for doing it, that's breaking the First Amendment of freedom of speech. Now, I just want to get this out of the way because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering. I was not very fond of Charlie Kirk. I didn't agree with a lot of the things he said, but I was aware of the fact that the need for a debate, especially amongst the youth, is something that's needed, because in a lot of establishments, ones that I've worked, when places lean predominantly in one direction, it doesn't create a space for young people to kind of form their own opinions when they feel like they're kind of pushed in one direction. Charlie Kirk's idea was that a lot of colleges skew on the left, and he wanted to give this platform where he can come and kind of help people make the decision on whether or not they want to be left or they want to be right. Now, whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. That's a conversation for an actual politician or somebody else that's used to debating. I'm just saying what I know of who Charlie Kirk is as a person. I did not agree with a lot of the things he said, but in no scenario on this planet Earth do I think that a man deserved to be assassinated for speaking words. And if you are one of the people that are celebrating it, I think you need to take a step back and really just look at yourself in a mirror. Because what you're essentially saying is you condone murder, which is illegal, towards somebody that says things that offends you. And that is not what America is. No man should be assassinated and put down like a wild animal in front of his wife and children because he disagrees with certain people's ideologies or beliefs or what they want to do with their body. You could hate him for it, and you could step up on that podium and talk shit back and try and make him feel like an asshole. But what is not okay is murdering somebody. And I think that anyone that's it's one thing if you're like me, where you're like, I hated the guy, but God, he didn't deserve to die. But if you're celebrating it and you're cheering it and you're throwing parties about it, you're kind of part of the problem. You're a sick individual that is just as guilty as the man that pulled the trigger. And if you're celebrating it, who's to say you're not the next person to hold a gun towards somebody that says something that you don't agree with? And that's just specifically how I feel about it. There's a right and wrong way to look at this, and that's where I stand. I don't think he should have died, but I didn't like the guy either. And let's circle this all the way back to what happened with Disney Plus. The FCC threatened Disney, essentially do something about this or we're going to take you down. We're going to take down Disney Plus, we're going to take down ABC, we're going to take down your broadcast license so you won't be able to go on TV anymore, and then they'd be losing billions upon billions of dollars. And I see a lot of people like Tatiana Maslany talking about, oh, cancel your Disney Plus accounts, but I implore you to just take a step back and think about it like this. What is Disney supposed to do? If they did nothing and they didn't axe his show, or they didn't take any kind of ramifications towards this, then they get taken off the air. Then there's no Disney Plus, there's no streaming, there's no broadcast network on television. Then they're losing billions upon billions of dollars. But if they do take Jimmy Fallon off the air, now you have all these actors and actresses using their platforms to try and convince their fans to delete Disney to teach them a lesson. But again, what were they supposed to do? If they didn't do anything, there would be no Disney Plus. So they did something, and sure, a lot of people are mad at them for this, but they were kind of forced into it. They didn't really have a choice. They are a business with employees, and those employees have families with homes that they need to pay the bills for to keep a home over their head and their children's head, and they got kids going to school. And they're not just thinking about, oh, what's going to happen then with Hawkeye season 2. They're also thinking of their own livelihood. That's their job. So they were kind of forced into it. So I don't actually fault Disney for this as much as I fault our own government for stiff-arming Disney like the mob or something. It's like Padme's character said in the Star Wars prequel trilogy, this is how liberty dies, with cheers and applause. To those of you who are happy about Kimmel getting fired, I get that a lot of people just don't like him and might just be looking at it like, well, I didn't like him anyway, so screw him. And that's fine. That's your opinion. You're entitled to that. But at the same time, it is a really scary thing to live in a world where if you say something that offends our president, that you could just be terminated. Because that is not a free country. That is not the America that I grew up in. That's not the America that my parents grew up in that raised me. That's not the America that our grandfathers and our great-grandfathers fought in wars to defend for us. And it makes being someone like myself on YouTube kind of scary because it kind of censors what I can and can't say. Now, I don't ever outright get on my channel and put the president down because that's just not my thing. I keep politics out of this. But just the fact that there are now ramifications if I do say something, who else is there that I could offend on accident outside of our president that I now have to watch out for? It's just a scary world we're living in. And yeah, I don't really know what the future holds, but it's looking kind of bleak. But yeah, that's my rant, guys. I would say don't hate Disney too much for this. They were pushed into it. They're a family company at first and foremost, and they have a business to run, and if it was up to them, I'm sure they would have kept Jimmy Kimmel around. But again, they were stiff-armed by our government, which is acting like the mob right now. So what were they supposed to do? What do you guys think? Let's talk about it in the comments down below. As always, guys, I hope you try to have the best possible weekend that you could have, and as always, I'll catch you next time.